Avoda
yes.
Zion. Wait, aren't we in Hey Zion? Yeah.
Oh, because I go back all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Hey Zion. Okay, let me get this look here. Hey Zion. Okay, here we go. Jewish workers to whom an idolatrous sent a barrel of Nesic wine as their wage. He took if is that right? You're right. They wage he permitted to stay with, say to him, give us in its monetary value, but after it enters their domain, it is prohibited. If one sells his wine to an idolater, he sets its price before he measures it out. Its payment is permitted. If he measured it out before he sets the price, his payment is prohibited. If he took a funnel and measured wine into an idolatrous flax, then measured into a Jew's flax, he has wine retainer in it. It is prohibited.
That's a flask, not flax.
Flax. So flax is good too. Okay, flax. Nesic wine is prohibited, and it prohibits that which it mixes by the smallest quantity. Wine in wine or water in wine prohibits the mixture by the smallest quantity. Okay, come on.
Okay.
Okay. Wine in water or water in wine prohibits only if it imparts flavor. This is the rule. A prohibited substance which mixes into a permitted substance of the same kind prohibits by the smallest quantity, but if it mixes into a substance of a different kind, it prohibits only if it imparts flavor.
Okay, so just pause here for a second because it's important. This is an important principle that we actually get in kashrus, and there's a lot of kashrus is learned out from Maseches Avoda Zara. So we have two types of mixtures. There's min v'mino and min v'she'eno min. So like in unlike.
Right.
And when you have unlike, everyone's in agreement that the principle is it not in time? Does it actually impart a taste? And is it a beneficial taste? Is another question that we ask. So we saw that already in Avoda Zara when if the wine ruins the honey, so if it makes the taste worse, then it's still actually mutar. Okay, but when it comes to so everyone agrees that that's benos in time. Now, in our current parlance today, we have a rule of thumb of 1 in 60. Right, the rule of thumb of 1 in 60 that's a very machmir measure because we say anything that's in 60 you can't taste. It used to be, and the Shulchan Aruch actually even paskins that what you could do is you could ask a non-Jewish taster, say, can you taste any Isser in this? And the Shulchan Aruch is like stands alone among those poskim who says that you can do such a thing because the rest of the poskim say how can you trust the goy to tell you that whether something kosher or not? It's just so that there's some subtleties in the matter, like is he aware that you're asking because of halacha, or you asking because he's got a reputation to uphold, and he's got to he doesn't want to lose his reputation because he's as a good taster. But tachlis, we rely on the 1 in 60. Now, a case where you could ask somebody to taste for you is, for example, if there was truma. If truma fell into chulin and you're not sure, does it have a taste of the truma in it or not? So you could ask a kohen to test it, and the kohen is reliable because he's gonna tell the non-kohen if it's mutar for him to eat it or not. Okay, so that's when you have unlike substances when they've got distinct tastes. But when you've got like and like, you're going to say, okay, you can't taste the one in the other. So according to some Tanaim, I think it's Rabbi Meir, a like and like is never batel. You can never say whether it's whether you can or can't taste it because it's all the same taste. So according to these Tanaim, it's never batel. But the halacha we hold is that it's still we follow the same principle of however much it would have been in unlike is how much it would be in like, and we again say 1 in 60 la halacha. When it comes to yain nesech, however, because it's something that was specifically used for Avoda Zara, we're more machmir on this, and we say that any amount of like in like is going to be aser, and that's where this halacha over here is this also b'kol shehud. Our Mishna says it asers in any amount. That's because it's got the added stringency of being something that's for Avoda Zara.
The tasters can't taste the wine that's has Avoda Zara and the Nesic wine. They're not allowed to do that, right? I mean, they have to swallow it and taste it. You know what I'm saying? When they taste the wine, when they taste something, they're swallowing it, they're drinking it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't do that with the Nesic wine. You wanted them to make a distinction.
Well, you're talking about the Shulchan Aruch, though, when he says that you can use a taster.
Right.
Well, as I said, if it's like in like, there's no you can't have a taster. The taster can only tell you if there's a taste of something that's unlike what's in the mixture. And in any case, you'd have the problem that if it's wine and you've got a non-Jewish taster, as soon as he touches the wine, it's going to be asur.
That's
Okay.
true. Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Mishna Tess.
The following are prohibited, and they prohibit that which with they mix, like any quantity, Nesic wine, idols, top hair skins, and an ox which is to be stoned, an igla arufa, the birds of a Masorah, the hair of a Nazir, the firstborn of a donkey, meat mixed with milk, the he-goat which is dispatched to Aziel, that's consecrated animals that were slaughtered in the temple courtyard. These are prohibited, and prohibit that which with they mix by any quantity.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you've got as we said about if you have libation wine, this is literally Avoda Zara wine that fell into the vat of wine. Kula asur b'hana, the whole thing becomes prohibited for any benefit. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel omer, yimacher kula l'nochri chutz midamei yain nesech shebo. He says, no, you don't have to lose the entire vat of wine. What you could do is just sell all the wine into the wine in the vat to a non-Jew, okay, and just say there's some yain nesech in there. So let's say the total price you sold for is 1,000 shekels, and the wine that fell in was worth 50 shekels. Okay, so take out 50 shekels from that 1,000 that you sold it for, and throw it into the Yam HaMelach. So that you can at least not lose the rest of your wine. Okay. And now next Mishnah. Is there anything else? Sorry, let me just see if there's. I believe that he's as a das yachid. I think the halacha does not follow Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Just checking if there's any statement in here. I don't see anything. Okay. Yud Aleph. Gas shel even shezipes goy. Okay. So what they would do in the wine vats is you would obviously in a wine vat you want to make sure that your wine doesn't seep into the ground. So they would seal it with pitch. But sometimes the pitch itself would be absorbent. Okay, so if a goy had made the wine vat initially and he put the pitch around it, but what you're talking here about a stone vat. So it was hollowed out of stone, and stone is non-absorbent, right? We have it's very easy to cash a stone, and it's I mean it's not non-absorbent completely, but it's not going to absorb in cold. So therefore, all that the Jew who buys this vat, and he wants to kasher it out, all he has to do is clean it, and it's now fine for use with his own wine. Michelle Eitz. Okay, what happens if the vat was built out of wood, and now it's absorbed from the goy's wine? Rabbi Omer Yenagev. Okay, so says Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. He says just wipe it with water and earth, just like a stone pit, because also the wood doesn't absorb the wine so much, which is davar tamua, because the reason why we put them in barrels is because they do absorb the wine. Okay, v'chachamim yiklof es ha zefes. He has to scrape off. He has to take off a klippa. The klippa is not a huge amount. It's just like a shaving as thick as a fingernail. Okay, he has to scrape off the pitch. Mishel cheres. What happens if the vat is made out of earthenware? Because cheres is so absorbent, there's no way to get the taste of Isser out of it. And that's also a principle in kashrus, is that when you have earthenware is just impossible to kasher. It absorbs and you cannot get the taste out. Okay. And our final Mishnah, halokech kli tashmish min a goy. So if somebody purchases some sort of keli from a goy, whether it's knives and forks, plates, whatever. Okay, so now we learn halacha in kashering. So when there are things that you just use with water, with cold. So, for example, regular dinner plates. You don't typically use them. You don't put them in the oven. You don't cook things in them. You're just putting cold food, or maybe a little bit of maybe dinner plates is a bad example because you might put like a big chunk of hot meat on it. But let's say a side plate.
Right.
That's typically not used with hot. Okay, so what do you have to do? If you just wash it off, and if it's something that requires mikveh, then take it to mikveh. Okay, lahagil. Now, what happens if it's something? It's very appropriate that we're talking about this now at the time of Pesach, because we're learning the principle of kabolo kach polto. However the kli absorbed whatever the isser is how it's going to exude it. So if it's something that is typically used for boiling, like a pot, okay, then what do you have to do with the pot? You have to boil the pot. You have to put the pot into boiling water in order to remove the taste of isser. Lelaben ba'or, and if it's something that's used in fire, yelaben ba'or. So if you're talking about your barbecue grids or your or the prongs that you use on the barbecue, those have to be kashed in fire. Hashfut va'askala, again, that's in the same category. The skewer and the barbecue grid. Melabanan ba'ur, you have to kasher those in fire. A sakin and a knife, shafa v'hi tahora, and a knife that might have been used for isser, you just have to sharpen it, scrape it off, and the Gemara explains you could stick it 10 times into hard earth, which rubs off any fat that might have stuck to the sides of the knife, and that makes it kosher. The Hadran Alach Maseches Avoda Zara, and tomorrow we start with Avos.
Wow. I remember Daron Green told me one time that he kashed his one time for Pesach, his grill. He said he didn't think he would do it again. I couldn't imagine doing my grill for Pesach.
Why? It's so easy.
Really?
Kashmir grills. I mean, you do want to you want to take a little metal brush to take off all the excess. All you have to do is put it over a fire, turn on the fire so it's nice and hot, and that's it. It's done.
But there's all that accumulation on top of the hood and the sides and all.
Okay, the hood. Now that's but again,
it's not like a cold grill. It's not a cold grill.
If you're talking about that thing that's got a hood on it, and you close it down, that is if you turn it on to the full heat, and that heat from the fire is what kashers it. It's done.
What bothers me, it's like, I know I haven't cooked anything not kosher on there, but I know what I cooked on there, and the whole idea of doing that about the sides and the bottom. It's one of those grills I bought from America. It's called
Weber
grill. I just can't imagine that whole, and underneath there these bars that they heat up the grill and all that they do. The whole process is that's probably worse than cleaning the kitchen. So,
yeah.
All right, let me see. Okay, it's a big job. Okay, Olive, okay.
Gimel.
Sure.
Yeah, lo yeshev b'tzila. You're not sitting in the shade of an Asherah tree.
Stay. Okay. No, I'm in the wrong place. We're doing Adios, right?
And Avoda Zara.
What's up? Okay, now I lost my place where I was in the other one.
Okay, well, Adios, you would have been right, yeah.
Right, so now we're in Avoda Zara. I have to go back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I say Gimel Ches. One should not sit in the shade, but if he sat, he remains tahor. He should not pass under it, and if he did pass, he is tameh. If he took pieces of wood from it and they were prohibited for benefit, if he fired an oven with them, it is a new one. It must be, if it is a new one, it must be shattered. And if it's an old one, it must be allowed to cool. If
Hold
he
on.
make
You skipped a page.
he's doing okay today. Wait a second.
Hmm.
Okay. If he encroached upon the public and one passed beneath it, he's tahor. If he permitted to plant vegetables beneath it in the winter, but not in the summer, and lettuce neither in the summer nor the winter. Birosi says he may not plant vegetables even in the winter because the foliage falls upon them and becomes fertilizer for them. If he took pieces of wood from it, they are prohibited for benefit. If he fired the oven with them, it is a new one. And if it is a new one, it must be shattered. And if it's an old one, it must be allowed to cool. If he baked bread in it, it is prohibited for benefit. If he became mixed with others, they are all prohibited for benefit. Reb Elias says he should cast the equivalent benefit to the Dead Sea, and they said to him, then it is no redemption for idolatrous objects. If he took a shuttle from it, it is prohibited for benefit. If he wore a garment with it, the garment is prohibited for benefit. It became mixed with others, and the others were still others. They are still all prohibited for benefit. If Eliezer says he should cast the equivalent benefit to the Dead Sea, they need to say to him, there's no redemption for idolatrous objects. How does he nullify it? If he pruned with it, or if he trimmed it, or if he took a stick from it, or a twig, even a leaf, it is nullified. If he shaved chips from it or his own needs, he remains prohibited. For not for its own needs, it becomes permitted. Okay.
Okay.
I want to ask you before.
Now we can do the adios aleph ches.
I want to ask you what you said before, because I don't remember. We talked about it, but I don't remember. Why would we throw things, that are prohibited into the Dead Sea? What was the reason that we allowed to do that?
Why do you have to do that? Because it's if you have, let's say, particularly money,
Right.
what are you going to do with the money? If money has become asr bahana, how can you get rid of it? How can you make sure that nobody gets hana from it? Because you can't get hana from it. You can't give it to somebody else to get hana from it, because then that's if it's asr bahana, you can't give it to a goy, because then he's going to think he'd be grateful to you, which again is a hana. So the only way to get rid of it is like to destroy it. And one of the ways of destroying it is you throw it into the Dead Sea and it ain't coming out of there.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking like the story, people say about fish when it comes to by Rosh Hashanah, Hashlet, you shouldn't throw food like your bread and stuff into the water, because what if the fish eat it? And then you get that fish, later on.
No. The reason why you're not supposed to throw bread into the water is because you're not allowed to feed animals that aren't yours.
No. I've heard the other more than ever. I hear that all the time. No, you can't, because you might eat that fish someday. I said,
Just give me a second. Yeah. Okay, aleph ches.
okay. Veg of truma. Beis Shammai says we may rub and soak in it in a state of tahara, but we feed it in a state of truma. Beis Hillel says we must soak it in tahara, but we may rub and feed it in a state of truma. Shammai says, come on. Shammai says that it should be eaten dry. Rabbi Akiva says everything done with them may be done in a state of truma. If one converts into a silver seller copper coins of Masa Sheni, Beis Shammai says he exchanges copper coins for an entire seller. But Beis Hillel says it's a shekel's worth of silver and a shekel's worth of coins. But Meir says we may not disconsecrate silver and produce of Masa Sheni onto silver, but the sages permit this. If one changes a silver seller of Masa Sheni into copper coins in Yerushalayim, Beis Shammai says he takes change for the entire seller in copper coins, but Beis Hillel says he takes change for 1 shekel of the seller in silver and for the other shekel of the seller in copper coins. Those who debate before the sages say he takes charge for 3 dinners of the seller in silver and for the remaining dinner of the seller in copper coins. And Rabbi Akiva says he takes change for 3 dinners of the seller in the silver, and for the 4th dinner of silver he takes for a quarter of copper coins. And Reb Tarfon says for the 4th dinner he takes 4 aspers of silver. Reb Shammai says he should leave the seller in the store and take successive amounts of food corresponding to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. With regard to a bridal chair whose spindles were
We,
removed.
we've done 3. Let's go into Bava Metzia.
All right. Okay. We have test yud. If one leases the field from another for 1/7 area for 700 zuz, the Shemitah layer is counted. If he leased it from him for 7 years for 700 zuz, the Shemitah year is not counted. One who is hired for the day collects his wages all night, and one who is hired for the night collects all day. The one who is hired for the several hours collects all night and day. One who is hired for a week, a month, and a year, or a 7th, if he departs by day, he collects all that day. If he departs by night, he collects all that night and the following day. Whether it be for the hire of a man, the hire of a beast, or the hire of an animal, the law on this day will give you his wages, as applies as well as the law. The wage of a hired worker shall not stay over with you until the morning. When he claimed it. But if he did not claim it, he does not transgress it. And if he gave him a draft on the storekeeper or a money changer, he does not transgress it. If a hired worker claims his wage when it is due, he may swear and take it. If his time has passed, he may not swear and take it. If there are witnesses that he demanded it of him, he may swear and take it. As for the resident alien, the law on this day you shall give his wages applies to him, but the law, the wage of a hired worker shall not stay over with you until morning. It does not apply to him.
Okay. Ya vamos.
Almost. Hey, Aleph. Rabbi Gamil said there is no validity to a bill of divorce after bill of divorce, nor to a mama after mama, nor to a cohabitation after cohabitation, and not to kalitza after kalitza. The Kokomet, however, say there is validity to a bill of divorce after a bill of divorce, and to mama after mama, but after cohabitation or after kalitza, there is nothing. How so? If he performed mama with his Ivama and then gave her a bill of divorce, she requires kalitza from him. If he performed mama with her and then kalitza, she requires a bill of divorce from him. If he performed mama and then cohabitated with her, he has done it properly. If he gave her a bill of divorce and the mama, she requires a bill of divorce and kalitza. The kalitza. If he gave her a bill of divorce and then cohabitated with her, she requires a bill of divorce and kalitza. If he gave her a bill of divorce and then kalitza, there is nothing after kalitza. If he performed kalitza with her and then performed mama with her or gave her a bill of divorce or cohabitated with her, or if he cohabitated with her and then performed mama or gave her a bill of divorce or performed kalitza with her, there is nothing after kalitza. It is the same whether it's one yavama or one yavam, 2 yavamos and 1 yavam.
Okay, that's it. Cheers.
Okay. Yes, we have Gimel.
Hey.
A man may not open a quarry in a field for his first climb unless there are 3 layers which are by 3 by 3 and 3 high, a total of 27 stones. If a wall was 10 stones, each a load for 2 men, these may be removed. The measurement of a wall is 10 tefachim. Less than this, he cuts it and may level it to within not less than 1 tefach from the ground. When is this case? From his own, but from his neighbors he may remove whatever he wishes. When is this case? He did not begin in the 6th year, but if he began in the 6th year, he may remove whatever he wishes. Stones which the plow turned up or which were covered and are not laid bare, if there are 2, each a load for 2 men, they may be removed. If one clears stones from his field, he may take the top ones, but may leave those which touch the ground. Likewise, a heap of pebbles or a pile of stones, he may take the top ones, but must leave those which touch the ground. And if there is a rocky ground or straw underneath them, they may be removed.
Okay. Elim. Kaftel at base.
Okay. There are 3 wagons. A wagon made like a cathedra, susceptible to becoming tummy.
Cathedra is a kind of a throne, yeah. Okay.
Midrash tuma, a wagon made like a bed is susceptible to becoming tummy with corpse tuma, and a wagon made for the transportation of stones is tolerant from any kind of tuma. There are 3 shields. A bench shield is susceptible to becoming tummy with midrash tuma. A shield with which combatants play in the sporting grounds is susceptible to becoming tummy with corpse tuma, and the play shield of Arabs is tolerant from any form.
Hold on. The Trissin was that was Mishna. Didn't you go backwards?
Yeah, I did go backwards, which I'm used to doing. So sorry. The other page. There are 3 wagons. A wagon is made like a.
You did wagons already. Let's do mixing bowls or.
There are 3 trowels. The trowel with a capacity of between 2 logs and 9 cows that has developed a crack is susceptible to becoming tame with midrash tumor. An intact trowel is susceptible to becoming tame with a corpse tumor, and a trough of great proportions is tahor from any kind of tumor. There are 3 chests. The chest whose opening is on the side is susceptible to becoming tame with midrash tumor. A chest whose opening on the top, midrash tumor. A tarbus of which people eat is susceptible to becoming tame with corpse tumor, and a tarbus of olives is tahor from any form of tumor.
Okay, we're done. Hold on, you said olives. You skipped again. With yeah, the 3 chests. I see. I heard you talking about olives, and that's in Mishna Hay. So we're talking about the chests that have got where it's got the opening on the side. Then somebody could sit on top of it, so then it can get midrash tumor. If the opening's on the top, then people are expected not to sit on it, because if anyone sits on it, people will say to him, "Get up, we want to open the chest." So then it's only got mace tumor. And if something is very large, we say that something that's very large is considered kilo. It's like mechuber lakarka, and therefore it's doesn't have any tumor at all. Okay, and we are done here.
Straight today. Okay. Have a great day.
Besoros tovos.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.